Hello and welcome to the show. Now, we here at FailRace, funnily enough, do rather like racing. Of course, majority of what we do is on video games, and let's face it, in certain stages, but as always, racing, motorsport is very expensive. Games, it is easy to go racing on. However, we love the competition, we love racing, and every so often we do get together and have a go at some real life stuff with some go-karts. We've had a lot of fun doing this in the past. We've done it a couple of times. This was footage actually from the second session that we did. So, of course, we're very looking forward to having another crack. Now, for this third session, we are back at a team sport track. We have gone to Leicester for this one. Now we've got, I think we've got about 6 cameras in this, mounted, or various people sort of carrying them. This on board. My camera's working this time, which was wonderful. First time round, my camera never worked. However, I do have footage from me on this. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't quite do the same sort of race meeting setup that we had before. We had kind of like a qualifier session and an actual race, so it was just kind of 2 sessions for us to go drive around in. Although our slot being us would find a way to make it race. Yeah. The other slight downside is that it wasn't a session just for us. There were 3 poor, actually, random people that were dumped in the session with us who didn't quite have as much experience as Laddo almost manages to get wiped out by one of the kids. Yeah, little bit of a trial by fire suddenly getting dumped in with us lots who are, shall we say, competitive. When it comes to this. So, once everyone got out of the pit lane, everyone was released. We're riding on board with Clark here, who was trying to chase down a ladder. Now, this track was actually a really, really good circuit. It was a really good track. I say a lot easier, but a lot more opportunities to overtake, so we could have some close racing. Laddo got a little bit of a bump. There was a little bit of negotiating back markers, shall we say. Clark getting a big old slide going on. So yeah, we did kind of have these moments of trying to kind of work your way through traffic. It was an important part, and while yes, technically there wasn't actually a race as such, we were kind of more going fastest lap. You would also sort of find some people and you know, whenever you found somewhere, you'd go and have a bit of a race if you can. So it was Danger Man, I think, at the front of this little group. Clark is looking everywhere. Now, when I said it is easier to overtake here, it's still by no means very straightforward. However, Laddo quite a little bit of a wave, as you do. In the end, Laddo backed out of that one when he was realised he was beaten, and Clark moved up a position. Now, my session would descend into me fighting Hyper basically the entire time. We negotiated our way around one of the slower vehicles. I think it was Amy, actually, at the front of this little group for the moment. And yeah, for the majority of this session, it would be, for me, it would be battling away with Hyper, trying to find a way past. So we're looking to try and get a better run out of this corner. Can't quite find it. You're just sort of looking every which way for a line that might work to get past. We had a little bit of a lock-up on the brakes. Unfortunately, the battle would be slowed down every so often by yellow flags, and what had caused said yellow flagged? Well, that was Speedbeast running a little bit, well, actually, Speedbeast ran a little bit too high into that corner. Somebody had ended up in the wall. I think that might have been level 8. Found the wall there. Of course, getting the brakes right with these is always tricky. It's very easy to spin under heavy braking. Now, we were trying to make the most of, like when the yellow flags ended, you tried to make the most of grabbing positions where you can. And as we all got stacked up, I tried to be sneaky getting past Hyper. In the end, we found another gap. So we got stuck there, and we were back under the yellow flags. So yeah, it was again try and be ready to go the second it went to green, because it was kind of easier. It's a bit sneaky, although you know they do it in real motorsport, you know. It's the easiest to try and set up. Couldn't really do anything on this one, and yeah, there was some varying overtaking positions. I found that there were parts of the track that I was faster on than Hyper. There are parts of the track where I was a bit slower than Hyper. And this corner down here was great fun, real challenge to get right. You kind of come flying off the ramp, and it's kind of close to flat out through there, but it's really easy to get your kart sliding, and as soon as you start sliding, you lose a lot of time. In the end, Hyper would get unlucky, getting a little bit caught out, and I would say thank you very much for the opportunity. We're not going to pass up the opportunity to get a pass like that. Laddo was very much in the thick of the mayhem. as once they cleared the cars, we're back racing again. Laddo was trying to chase down a danger man in this one and try to make sure didn't trip over everybody. I mean, this was actually a big group of kind of carts running around, and that was a fun bit. Like, you know, when you were running on your own trying to set lap times, you wanted to be on your own to try and set a fast lap time and everything, sure, but that wasn't the most fun part as ever, really, for us. The most fun part was kind of racing side by side. Danger man almost got caught out up there, but we were making it through, and, you know, I have to say, the less experienced drivers and so on, well, they were doing a good job trying to sort of stay out of our way as best as they could. As you see, I managed to sneak my way past Hyper, who was then, of course, back to try to chase down and find a way past me. And yeah, you know, you were making the most of the opportunities. If there was a slower vehicle, you'd try and pick up the pieces where you could. There was no room for Hyper to look for a way past. This time, we barreled down towards this fast corner. You see, just on the edge, the cars wanted to sort of be sliding around through there. I knew Hyper was about, so kind of park it a little bit in the middle of the road. Again, we know this wasn't great for lap time, but it was fun. Again, a big slide through here. This was one of the more difficult overtaking spots. Wasn't a particularly big braking zone down there. I get a little bit sideways on the exit, not also helpful. And a little bit slow off the corner, and I know Hyper's got the nose alongside. Now, I wasn't too unhappy with being on the outside, because you can get a good run off that corner, although Hyper did a good job of sort of covering. So I did end up losing that position, and we fly into this next section, and we were catching up to, I think it was Gliska, who was up ahead. It's a very, very big slide, kind of catches out Hyper in all of that, so it's my turn to try and look around the outside. Kind of go as late as I can on the brakes. And again, finding some good speed on the outside. I don't think Hyper expected me to still be there on the exit. Hyper's now crossed over to the inside, so we're going to have to look the long way round for a second corner in the row, and still can manage to get the drive off of the corner. Now, and all the meanwhile, we're trying to catch up to Gliska. I think it might have been Longbow up ahead at this point. So we were blasting up the hill. Unfortunately, there was a yellow flag that put a little bit of a little breather on this one. It wasn't too, as far as stop-start sessions go, you do sometimes get that with the karting. It wasn't actually too bad at all, this one. Yeah, there were yellow flags. People did end up nosing it into the wall. Hyper got a really good restart, but had to try looking the long way around a very slidey corner. Gliska's struggling with oversteer through that section. Hyper just ran out of grip trying to go the long way round. Is again taking a look to the inside. I'm okay with that wider line, because A, I can get a good exit, and B, I'm on the inside through the next corner. I mean, I left a cart's width for Hyper. That was it. It was a cart's width and nothing more. A typical say about not being too stop-starty. It hadn't been on the most part, but there were some yellow flags as we see someone getting recovered up there. Well, I mean, this was a fun little corner. It looked more steeper than it does on the camera when you look back from the kind of like this first-person camera. That's hairpin. It was my turn to get a slightly better restart, trying to find a way past Gliska, but couldn't really make it work. This part, you could get overtakes done here. It was a little bit tricky. Gliska's to the outside. We're all trying to look, and well, we get. I'm not impatient, but we probably scared the crap out of a kid as we decide to go 3 wide down towards the next corner. I'm locking the brakes, we're sliding a little bit. I get two in one go as we pass Gliska, although I've got to go the long way round. Gliska gets a big kick of oversteer in the middle of all of that. Hyper gets a little bit unlucky. Got nowhere to really go in that one, because it was all sort of all a little bit backed up. But as we get going, unfortunately, put pay to the battle with Hyper. Didn't quite realise there was a cart on the inside, and Hyper ends up stuck on the wall as everyone comes flying past. It had been a wonderful battle, though. It had been a great battle, and I vanished off into the distance. Laddo's battle with Danger Man continued as well through a lot of this. And as I said, there was a big group of carts, and that was the fun of it. Really, you'd find a group to go and run with, and it was more attempts at 3 wide through there. That was Danger Man. I think it was Amy on the outside a little bit. There was just about room for everybody. But it's difficult. You sometimes have you sometimes have a rough idea where carts are, but you're never completely sure if you are clear. And it feels faster when you're driving them than it ever looks on footage, naturally. But yeah, you're never always 100% sure if you're clear, and sometimes you do get a little bit wrong. As we head again through this next section, it was a great actually. All of this track, I enjoyed driving it. When you got it right, it was incredibly rewarding, as there was another car stuck on the inside down there. Yeah, as the session went on, I guess there were a few more of the old, the old yellow flags as we were trying to get braver and braver and make up time. Laddo, as soon as it goes back to green, almost snuck away past Danger Man, and they're again catching a big group of vehicles up ahead, and then it's sort of 2 and 3, and it's all manic up at this part. It's very, very busy. Gliska gets hung out wide. Everyone's going to try and find a way past, and 3 wide was a little bit of a squeeze, to say the least. Liam had snuck into the pack, had been running around on their own for a little while, had joined this group past. Actually, no, it was just catching up to the back of it, sorry, as all of that mayhem was going on. He's trying to sneak up the inside of Laddo. As I said, it's tough to pass through here, but if you get it in the right position, you can make it work, as there's a big running wide moment for the car ahead, and that'll put Liam up another position, still struggling a little bit with that oversteer. Yeah, they're great. They're great fun to drive. You chuck them about though, and yeah, you can get them sliding. And the second you start sliding, you're just losing so much time. Momentum's so very important in all of these. The second it steps sideways, you just lose a bunch of time. And when everything's as close together as it was here, that can equate to a couple of positions even. We've seen Gliska was struggling a little bit with that thing sliding. You can still see it wanting to be kind of sliding around. It's a big slide on the exit. Liam's not quite able to get to the inside. This is the corner where most people are sliding. Liam takes a really tight line. It's a little bit of a touring car pass in the end. It made it work, and there's a big slide into the next corner under braking, but gets away with it. Danger Man was behind, I think, all of that as it was going on, looking for a way past Longbow on the outside here, although Longbow's going to get a little bit squeezed as we head around here. Now it's Danger Man's turn to get a little bit squeezed as well. Yeah, poor kid's not quite knowing where to go sometimes with the mayhem. Danger Man's got a good run off of the hairpin, and if you get a good run off that hairpin, you can get to the inside. That was Liam having caught up to the group, was looking for the long way round of this, would just about make it work as Danger Man's clinging on. We're going to stick it around the outside for this next corner. Danger Man's still got a cart's width and no more than a cart's width through there. Still stuck on the outside, has to yield in the end, but going to go for the cutback as we head through the next corner, and Liam just gets it there, shuts the door a little bit, was mostly past at that point. Little bit rude from Liam, but that was the end of that one. I had a bit of a quiet run for a few laps at the end, mostly just having to dodge traffic after we'd lost to Hyper. But the lap times from all of this, seeing as that's about the only thing we could compare, Liam would get the fastest lap, the only one into the 39s around here. Hyper would end up in second ahead of Clark. Laddo would get up into fourth. A great showing from Laddo ahead of Danger Man. I would be down in sixth in this one, ahead though of Longbow, level 8 Speed Beast, Gliska, and Amy would round out the leaderboard. I mean, as I said at the start, lap times were always a little bit of a slightly duff metric. You had traffic to deal with, and honestly, we were more looking to try and find people to race with than we were to actually go fast, because the wheel-to-wheel battles were a whole lot more fun. But yeah, that was what we were able to do. Now, for the second session, we did want to, because we weren't going to be having like a grid star or anything, which was a little bit of a shame, unfortunately, the way it was. Well, Laddo did a very good job of organising all of this, but for some reason we just didn't want to book as a session like that, so we just had to go like this. But we were going to try and manually sort out a bit of a grid for ourselves. Basically, those that had gone quickly in the first races, we kind of came out and did the warm-up lap. This was more just to release all the carts out. Some of the faster drivers were going to try and drop back. Some of the slower drivers made their way towards the front, and then we were going to sort of race from that one, because you know that was going to be more of the fun. So me and Hyper were kind of pulling over here. We were letting vehicles go. I mean, we lost track very quickly of who was where for a large part of it, because you know it's sort of difficult to organise this when you're on track. But yeah, we again, the whole goal was to have fun wheel-to-wheel racing. So that was, yeah, we sort of shuffled things around to try and find some battles, if you like. Speed Beast was chasing down, I think it was level 8, perhaps up ahead as Glister came out. I don't know how Glister ended up getting released quite late from the pits, but there we go. And it was going to be a sideways moment for a Speed Beast into that was level 8 there. I'm not sure who was Speed Beast was trying to chase down, frantically trying to get the cart going. Yeah, it is very, very easy to end up getting these things sideways, especially under braking, because they're all got they're all kind of rear brakes. So yeah, if you lock it, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. Then we've got a lot of traffic, Liam, trying to work their way through this one. We're all getting a little bit boxed in. There's let's say a little bit of a gap there for, I can't remember how it was actually at this point. I forgot what cart was, but yeah, you'd make whatever opportunity you had work if you could in this. I think it was Danger Man actually. I think it's the number 1 card for this second round. So yeah, Liam is going off, chasing off Danger Man, which an interesting return of the battle that ended the last race. This time Liam's having a look to the inside, can't quite make it work, although Danger Man slides a lot on the exit. Liam's around the outside, and there's not quite the space to make that one work. Again, we saw what happened last time, so Danger Man probably would have done a similar thing if Liam had tried it. Now, I liked going for the wide line on this corner because you could get a good run on the exit. Liam doesn't try that one, ends up going for a dive to the inside, but can't quite make it work and ends up losing out. Hyper was in the thick of the battle, and funnily enough, me and Hyper would end up fighting one another. Sorry, the 19 car. There we go. I remember numbers. Yeah, because this was Hyper was following me around as we were battling with Glisker. I managed to make the pass stick. Now it's Hyper's turn to look for a way past. Can't quite find the way here as we go in towards this next corner. So this was a pretty good overtaking spot if you got it right, but again, these carts have got quite a good chunk of grip and so on. You don't have a very big braking zone. It's mostly about sort of keeping up your momentum as much as you could. And it was Glisker with a big slide. Unfortunately, it kind of impacts Hyper in all of this. Hyper couldn't make the most of that one. It's another slide for Glisker through the next section, and that is again all the invitation. You got to make the most of those kind of chances when they appear like that. You really got to make the most of them. Speed Beast, things a little bit swiffy, and ended up spinning. It was a really unfortunate place, probably the most awkward place to recover a spun cart, and it did take small Speed Beast was stuck there for like a lap up at the top of the circuit. It's really unfortunate bit to be stuck in. Then we ran on board with Clark, who was in the middle of the pack as we were all kind of stacked up here. It's kind of like, I guess, pick the line that you wanted. We're almost 3 wide on the exit. I was trying to find a way past Longbow here. I got to get myself to the inside and do get a move on Longbow, and then realise, oh, there's a spun Speed Beast there, and now we're all in a little bit of trouble as we work our way through that. Yeah, that was quite a surprise. You're coming up the hill, minding your own business, and there is a parked car there. And because that was a really big group as well. Like, we were having a really big fight. A whole load of vehicles were stuck together in that one. And and it kind of bunched us up even more at this point because he's just sort of go over the hill, go over the crest, and that's that. And we all get bunched up with the yellow flags. And once we do get going again, it once more trying to find them. We get a little bump from Clark. Not that it really does too much. And again, we're back to the kind of pick your way through traffic, gets out to the inside. Clark will follow, and the rest of the FailRace horde is trying to make that one work as well. Back on board with Laddo's having a look around the outside. It is a little unfortunate. Laddo gets himself sort of stuck into the wall, and we're going to try and go 3 wide on the exit. Coming up the hill, there's a little hurry up bump to level 8. Not quite going to be the space. There was someone on the outside of Laddo. I'm not quite sure. They must have had a sort of bad run. Nope, there they are. I think that's Liam. Actually, Laddo gives the thumbs up. Laddo likes to rate the passes that went on. If someone gave a good pass on Laddo, he gave him a thumbs up. It was a great pass by Liam. Unfortunately, Liam then just drove into traffic at the bottom of the hill and then couldn't make it work. We're still going to go. I mean, it's just 2 by 2 at this point. Liam is now back past Laddo, who is clear in all of this. I think we had Amy possibly to the inside of all of this. It was just trying to keep track of everything that was going on at this. Glisker's stuck in the middle of this. Level 8 can't get the power down coming out of that corner as somebody went for a spin on the outside. Bounced off. I mean, they got it going again. It wasn't too much of a problem. Laddo's now going to try to do that outside pass. You can make it work here if you can hold it all the way around the outside. You're the inside for the next bit, unfortunately. Get a little bit stuck in the traffic, and it's 3 wide. There's a gap. It worked. There was enough space for a Laddo to drive through the middle of all of this. And it was me that was trying to hunt down a Laddo. At this point, I've been watching this battle go on. Level 8 got it wrong through the next corner, ended up in the wall. All avoided, thankfully, at this point. Unfortunately, that was going to bring out the yellow flag eventually for this one. Sure enough, there we go. So we had to kind of back it off. We then found another group of vehicles to go racing. Funnily enough, Hyper was behind me. So we were going back to the resembling the first race. Just me and Hyper ended up racing each other almost the entire time. Just seemed to be the way that it would go. But this was kind of my first chance, actually, to really properly race Laddo, and Laddo was definitely a lot faster at this track than had been at the previous ones. We were looking, so we were going to try and find a way past if we could. I love when you got that corner right. It was such a good. You see, I got a really, really good run on the exit there, but it's so tough to get a pass done down here, especially when there's so many vehicles. I was happier to use the kind of wider line on the exit. I have been doing in general down there. However, I did have to be careful because it wasn't behind me, it was Danger Man that was behind me at this point. Because, yeah, you know, it was all very well and good going for these sort of alternate lines to try and make passes work or to get good runs in different places, which is fine. But if you leave the inside open easily, the cart behind, when it's a group like this, the cart behind is just going to pound. It's just going to find a way past. So you can see me here just trying a slightly different line to get past Laddo. It works. I got away with it, even though I lost a bit of time because Danger Man was, thankfully, just a little bit further back. So Danger Man wasn't there to capitalise when I got a slide on the kind of exit of that section. Whereas if Danger Man had been, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Laddo got things a little bit wrong. Unfortunately, got things sort of slow and wrong in the exit of that corner. I got compromised, so Danger Man was now right with us. I have to defend into the next corner because I knew I was kind of lacking momentum. Could pick up speed through here and wasn't too worried about having to defend into this next corner. But yeah, the second you lost momentum, you had to, in a battle like this, you had to be really, really careful. I mean, this was a great gaggle of vehicles to be a part of. Again, as I said, you know, lap time wise, it's terrible when you're fighting like this in many ways, but it didn't matter. That wasn't the point as such. Well, you know, we were all wanting to go as fast as possible. It was more about the fun of actually racing wheel to wheel as we make our way through the pack. Now, I was, of course, wanting to find a way past Laddo. We were trying to I said make the most of any opportunities that came our way, although we did lose a little bit of time on the restart. I think this was Longbow up ahead, actually. Kind of the lead of this group. We did get a great restart, but through the next couple of corners we did carry a lot of speed, and Laddo just brushed the tyre bundle on the way through there. You can see it desperately wanted to get the car up the hill quicker, and this was the pass that I've been trying to make work a couple of laps before, and we managed to get it done. Laddo was impressed with said overtake. Unfortunately, he put himself a little bit slow, like with yeah, he lost 2 places in that one. Laddo put himself a little bit slow on the exit, and Danger Man was just ready. As I said, yeah, as soon as you lost momentum, if there was a line of carts behind you, or relatively close, as soon as you lost that little bit of momentum, that was it in many ways. And yeah, Danger Man was ready to pounce. Hyper was on march, and there was a gap. The door was slightly open, and Hyper made sure there was about enough gap for a cart, but he didn't even complete the pass. He's still stuck going the long way around. Gliss gets a big slide mid-corner that actually put Hyper out a little bit wide, although it is finally completed for Hyper. That's a scary moment and a half, coming down the bottom of the hill to find a cart really, really struggling for grip. That then snaps into the next corner, but Hyper manages to avoid all of that mess and makes it through and makes a little bit of a gap back to Gliska in this one. Danger Man, because we were all sort of behind that Hyper Gliska battle, Danger Man was now involved. There was me involved, Gliska's on the outside, Lombow's at the front of this, and it was, again, a little bit try and pick your space where you could. Danger Man's to the inside, it's sort of 3 wide heading in towards this next hairpin. I'm sneaking my way past the traffic a little bit. Longbow's held it out wide and got a good run up the hill. I'm still trying that around the outside manoeuvre as the car as the car gets a little bit of a snap. Lombow's through on the inside. Gliska's stuck with not very many where to go. Danger Man's now trying to make that inside line work. The kind of like painted curb down there was quite slippy if you got it slightly. If you get like slightly too much steering input in all of this. With the way everything had worked out, I had found Hyper again, and we would rejoin our we rejoined a battle. I knew I rejoined the battle with Hyper at some point in this race. Yeah, it was back to trying to chase down Hyper and find a way past, and it was, I say, kind of build a gap to the vehicle behind. I'd managed to, it took Danger Man was fighting with Longbow in that group for a little while, so we kind of built a gap to that one. Hyper got things wrong big time through here, which put me right on the rear bumper, not quite able to find a way past, although with a slow exit, that was the opportunity that I needed. We were up the inside, and that was going to move us up a position. But I knew Hyper was sort of strong. Like, that was the part of the track that I was generally quite strong on. Hyper was strong in other parts of the track. Trying to have a look around the outside. They're not quite going to work, partially because there was another car in the way. It was clear to turn in through here. Hyper gets a really, really good run. I'm aware of the run. Like, I'm not going crazy defensive, because I know if you do that, you lose a lot of speed, but it was go defensive enough just to discourage Hyper from going for that pass. Again, they're having a look to the inside. I get the turn a little bit wrong, but I am on the inside for the next part, so Hyper can't make that move quite stick there as we run down the hill. It's my turn. You can see the sliding going on, and that just kills the momentum as we head down here. And again, it's another little bit of a slide. Hyper sends it to the inside. It's really sideways under brakes, but makes the pass stick. Like, I knew it was coming. Like, I actually didn't realise. I thought Hyper was a bit closer, but I knew that attempt was going to come, so I just left some space on the inside. Didn't want to get into a crash, and it's Hyper then sliding through the next corners. That's fine by me, because I like this outside line. You've got a really good run on the exit, and finally got that one to work. Hyper is trying to get the cart to go faster up the hill. We retake the position. Once again, awesome battle in all of this as we run down the hill. Chris had turned up, so Hyper was giving away, even though not paying attention and gets a really big slide. Although they're onto a yellow flag. Amy it was unfortunate and had spun it down at the bottom as we all had to slow down. Now this was kind of the lead of a little bit of a trade. It was me, Hyper, Longbow. Well, it was Laddo, who Laddo then forgot all the rules and decided to cheat in the typical Laddo way of, you know what, I'm just going to pass. I think Danger Man ended up at the back of this train as Laddo decided to be Laddo and cheat. The thing is, as we learn, cheats do not ever prosper, and karma would come back to bite Laddo in the arse, as you would expect. You see, as soon as we got going again, well, we were kind of full speed coming up the hill. We head into this sort of final twisty section, and Laddo's out of position, slides through the first part, slides on the exit, slow down the hill, and I'm going to say thank you very much for that opportunity, although it's a little bit of a dicey opportunity. We get the cart to the inside, but it's only just, and Hyper makes the most of it all, actually gets to the inside of me, and almost gets past the back marker. However, we find, as the course snakes left and right and back and forth, we managed to make our way to the inside, sneak our way back past Hyper at the end, and that was the end of that session. It was so much fun, honestly. The wheel-to-wheel racing was fantastic. Yeah, lap time wise, I mean, we were in traffic for a lot of it, but who cared? It was so much fun to be involved in those battles as we swap places a lot with Hyper. We've had a lot of battling with Hyper. We had some good battling with Laddo, and of course it was going to be Laddo that would find a way to cheat. For those interested in the lap times, it would be Clark that would go fastest down into the 38s this time around, with Liam also getting into the 38s. I got under the 40-second mark, which I was pretty happy with, ended up in 3rd ahead of Longbow. Danger Man would end up 5th ahead of Laddo. Hyper could only manage 7th, although I think mostly because in fighting a lot. Amy would get 8th ahead of Speed Beast, Level 8, and Gliska in this one. Actually very, very close from, well, 3rd down to 10th was very close. I think Gliska had a bit of an iffy kart as well in this one, which is just continuing the theme of Gliska never gets any luck with any of this. But yeah, it was amazing fun. This track was absolutely incredible. Yep, it was indoors and overtaking wasn't the easiest. However, it was possible, and we had some just truly fantastic racing. A shame we couldn't quite get the session set up the way we wanted to, and yeah, we would love to be able to do kind of a proper race, but that just wasn't to be. However, we made our own fun, pretty much, with all of this, and yeah, it was a wonderful time. Of course, a very big thank you to Laddo for organising all of this one. And of course, thank you all very much for watching. That is going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed exploits with karting. We certainly did. We had some awesome racing. Shall be it for today, though. Until next time, goodbye.